End of Cyrus' death. The details of Cyrus' death vary by account. The account of Herodotus from his histories provides the second longest detail, in which Cyrus met his fate in a fierce battle with the Massagetae, a tribe from the southern desert of Khwarazm Kazakhstan, in the southernmost portion of the steppe region of modern day Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, following the advice of Croesus to attack them in their own territory. The Massagetae were related to the Scythians in their dress and mode of living. They fought on horseback and on foot. In order to acquire her realm, Cyrus first sent an offer of marriage to their ruler, Tomiris, a proposal she rejected. He then commenced his attempt to take Massagetae territory by force, beginning by building bridges and towered war boats along his side of the river Yaxtras or Ser Darya, which separated them, sending him a warning to cease his encroachment, in which she stated she expected he would disregard anyway. Tomiris challenged him to meet her forces in honorable warfare, inviting him to a location in her country a day's march from the river, where their two armies would formally engage each other. He accepted her offer, but learning that the Massagetae were unfamiliar with wine and its intoxicating effects, he set up and then left camp with plenty of its behind, taking his best soldiers with him and leaving the least capable ones, the general of Tomiris' army, who was also her son, Sparagapis, and a third of the Massagetian troops killed. The group Cyrus had left there, and finding the camp well stocked with food and the wine, unwittingly drank themselves into inebriation, diminishing their capability to defend themselves. When they were then overtaken by a surprise attack, they were successfully defeated. And although he was taken prisoner, Spargipsis committed suicide. Once he regained sobriety, upon learning of what had transpired, Tomiris denounced Cyrus' tactics as underhanded and swore vengeance, leading a second wave of troops into battle herself. Cyrus the Great was ultimately killed, and his forces suffered massive casualties in what Herodotus referred to as the fiercest battle of his career and the ancient world. When it was over, Tomiris ordered the body of Cyrus brought to her, then decapitated him and dipped his head in a vessel of blood in a symbolic gesture of revenge for his bloodlust and the death of her son. However, some scholars question this version, mostly because Herodotus admits this event was one of many versions of Cyrus' death that he heard from a supposedly reliable source who told him no one was there to see the aftermath. Herodotus also recounts that Cyrus saw in his sleep the oldest son of Hystaspes Darius I with wings upon his shoulders, shadowing with the one wing Asia and with the other wing Europe. Iranologist Ilya Gerswich explains this statement by Herodotus and its connection with the four winged bas relief figure of Cyrus the Great in the following way. Herodotus therefore as I surmise may have known of the close connection between this type of winged figures and the image of the Iranian majesty, which he associated with the dream, prognosticating the king's death before his last fatal campaign across the Oxus. Dandamayev says maybe Persians took back Cyrus' body from the Massagetae. Unlike what Herodotus claimed, Siaz in his Persica has the longest account which says Cyrus met his death while putting down resistance from the dervishes infantry aided by other Scythian archers and cavalry, plus Indian and their elephants. According to him, this event took place northeast of the headwaters of the Ser Darya. An alternative account from Xenophon's Cyropedia contradicts the other, claiming that Cyrus died peaceably at his capital. The final version of Cyrus' death comes from Berosus, who only reports that Cyrus met his death while warring against the Dai archers northwest of the headwaters of the Ser Darya. This is the picture. Tomiris is putting his head in blood. This is also another picture in which head of the Cyrus is presenting to Tomiris. This is another picture in which Cyrus' head is shown, which is being put in the blood. It is another, all these pictures are imaginary. Burial, tomb of Cyrus. Cyrus the Great remains were interred in his capital city of Pasargadae, where today a limestone tomb built around 540 to 530 BC still exists, which many believe to be his. Both Strabo and Arrian give nearly equal description of the tomb based on the eyewitness report of Aristobulus of Sandria, who at the request of Alexander the Great visited the tomb 2 times. Though the city itself is now in ruins, the burial place of Cyrus the Great has remained largely intact, and the tomb has been partially restored to counter its natural deterioration over the centuries. According to Plutarch, his epitaph said, "O man, whoever you are and where you come from, for I know you will come. I am Cyrus, who won the Persians their empire. Do not therefore begrudge me this bit of earth that covers my bones." Cuneiform of evidence from Babylon proves that Cyrus died around December 530 BC and that his son Cambyses II had become king. Cambyses continued his father's policy of expansion and captured Egypt for the empire. but soon died after only 7 years of rule. He was succeeded either by Cyrus' other son, Bardia, or an impostor posing as Bardia, who became the sole ruler of Persia for 7 months until he was killed by Darius the Great. The translated ancient Roman and Greek account give a vivid description of the tomb both geometrically and aesthetically. The tomb's geometry shape has changed little over the years, still maintaining a large stone of quadrangular form at the base, followed by a pyramidal succession of smaller rectangular stones until after a few slabs. The structure is curtailed by an edifice with an arched roof composed of a pyramidal shaped stone and a small opening or window on the side where the slenderest man could barely squeeze through. Within this edifice was a golden coffin resting on a table with golden supports, inside of which the body of Cyrus the Great was interred. Upon his resting place was a covering of tapestry and draperies made from the best available Babylonian materials, utilizing fine median workmanship. Below his bed was a fine red carpet covering the narrow rectangular area of his tomb. Translated Greek accounts describe the tomb as having been placed in the fertile Pasargade gardens surrounding by trees and ornamental shrubs, with a group of Achaemenian protectors called the Magi stationed nearby to protect the edifice from theft or damage. Years later, in the ensuing chaos created by Alexander the Great's invasion of Persia and after the defeat of Darius III, Cyrus the Great's tomb was broken into and most of its luxuries were looted. When Alexander reached the tomb, he was horrified by the manner in which the tomb was treated and questioned the Magi and put them to court. Once, on some accounts, Alexander's decision to put the Magi on trial was more about his attempt to undermine their influence and his show of power in his newly conquered empire than a concern for Cyrus' tomb. Regardless, Alexander the Great ordered Aristobulus to improve the tomb's condition and restore its interior despite his admiration for Cyrus the Great and his attempts at renovation of his tomb. Alexander had 6 years previously, 330 BC, sacked Persepolis, the opulent city that Cyrus had helped build, and either ordered its burning as an act of pro-Greek propaganda or set it on fire during drunken revels. This is the tomb of the Cyrus in Pasargade, Iran.